Well, good evening. My name is Tim O'Brien. I'm the board chair for Life Directions Detroit. And so after every sentence, please applaud. It's kind of like the State of the Union. Thank you. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for coming tonight to the 2011 Tribute Celebration. There's an old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Yeah, I'll tell you, Life Directions is probably both. We're an ounce of prevention and we're a pound of cure. What a great time to have a solution to prevent the school dropout crisis and violence in our Detroit neighborhoods. Through Life Directions, young people who are rooted in their values challenge their peers to go on to finish high school, to go on to college, or follow their chosen path. High school students are mentoring middle school students. Young adults in their 20s and 30s, along with elders, are showing our young people how to make it in the adult world. You will hear inspiring stories tonight from our students, teachers, administrators, and alumni. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. I want to personally thank everyone for coming tonight. It's now my privilege to introduce this evening's Master of Ceremonies, Joe Walker. Joe's the president of Maple Bay Consulting. He's also the past board chair of Life Directions Detroit Board of Trustees, and also the past board chair of our national organization of Life Directions. So let's have a big hand for Joe Walker.
Good evening, I'm Tim O'Brien. No. Thank you very much for coming tonight. It's a real honor for me to be here tonight. I just met Greg, but I've known Paul, of course, since we were kids back on Boston Boulevard and Chicago Boulevard. So I'm really, really happy to be here tonight. This event raises money for programs that have made a dramatic difference in young people's lives for more than 37 years. The motivation that Life Direction provides young people in taking responsibility for their own actions and furthermore has touched more than, now think about this number, 80,000 young people in Detroit, and the number continues to grow. So tonight, we're going to take some time out to acknowledge two people who have donated their time and financial resources helping those young people in our community here in Detroit. So before we go any further with tonight's program, I would like to call up Melanie McCall. Now, Melanie is the head of community responsibility for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. They're, of course, our host tonight, and I would like her to say a few words. So if you come up, please.
I'm Mr. O'Brien. I'm not the head of our community responsibility department, actually. I am one of the employees in the department. But I am here. My name is Melanie McCall Brown. I work at our community responsibility department as a community representative. And I'm here on behalf of Bridget Hurd, who is our director of community responsibility and for Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So I welcome you. It's a great evening, nice weather, and we're so happy to have you here. Life Directions has played a tremendous role in the community, and as a result of its programs, has enriched the lives of a lot of diverse young adults. And we are proud to be the host site for your event again. I don't know how many years we've been doing this, about 3 or 4. We are very proud to be the host site for this event. It's also great to see so many people here to recognize one of our own, which is Gregory Anderson. He's one of our executive leaders here at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan. So we thank Life Directions for highlighting him. Mr. Anderson is a strong advocate for helping others, and he's a strong advocate for youth development and for building strong communities. And I know he also is a strong advocate for a lot of other organizations that are passionate about young people. So I applaud you for that. So on behalf of Richard Hurd, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan, I welcome you here to our headquarters here in Detroit, Michigan. And I hope we have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. She made a great point here. One of my favorite rock and roll songs is Hotel California. If you remember the last line in the song is, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. So when you start to think about organizations like Blue Cross Blue Shield and how long they've been involved, it's just fantastic. And now I'd like to introduce Monsignor McClory. Again, I spent a couple moments with him. This is now the third year that he has given the invocation, and we're very, very happy to have him back again. So, Monsignor, if you come forward.
For our reflection tonight on how God works in our lives and in our midst, I'm going to pray a prayer that is attributed to Archbishop Oscar Romero. He is a man of great renown who spoke forcefully for the needs of those who are underprivileged and victims of injustice in El Salvador. This prayer has been attributed to him, but for all of us in Detroit, the real story is that a year before his death, this prayer was actually prayed, and its origins are in Detroit, prayed by Cardinal Dearden at a gathering of priests, actually at one of the clergy funerals, commemorations, and it was likely written by another now deceased bishop in Detroit as well. So this is attributed to Archbishop Romero, but it really comes to us from within our city here in Detroit, and it's a reflection on how God can use us and how God uses life directions. It helps now and then to step back and take the long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is beyond our vision. We accomplish in our lifetime only a tiny fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work. Nothing we do is complete, which is another way of saying that the kingdom always lies beyond us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No confession brings perfection. No pastoral visit brings wholeness. No program accomplishes the church mission. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. This is what we are about. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces effects beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything. And there's a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something, and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for God's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders. Ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future, not our own. Amen.
Thank you very much, Monsignor McClory. The next part of the program is really why we're here tonight. And tonight we have two young people who are going to share their story and how Life Directions made a difference in their lives. It's why when I first got the call from Tom Hathaway and Father John to get involved in this organization and heard the kinds of stories that you're going to hear tonight, it's what caused my wife and I, Charlotte, to become involved in this organization. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Tanya Saldivar Ali, who is actually an alumna of Detroit Life Directions. And what you're going to see is a 2-minute video that was actually done in 1992 and was an award-winning documentary of what we do here at Life Directions. It shows Tanya telling us the challenges that she was facing and what a difference that Life Directions was making in her life. Suzanne?
In jail about 7 times. For a couple of times for fighting, school, loitering, picked up for curfew, hanging out on the wrong street, I guess. Tina, one of the workers in Life Direction, she knows my mom and she lives next door. She saw what was going on. She saw, there was those boys coming around, those gang members, and, all my friends, sometimes we drinking or smoking, and, she saw. So she said, Tanya, pulled me aside. Did you go to Life Directions? What? I didn't go to Life Directions, So I don't need no help. And that was the sad thing about it, I didn't even realize I had a problem. But I'm glad I went. And I think anybody who feels that they want to make a change or that there's a part of them missing, they should go, because it would help them. To make me, a whole different person.
Our mission is to wake people up before it's too late.
I didn't know how that was going to be shown. I did have the opportunity to see it, and it was absolutely amazing looking back. And I just want to start off by saying that I give all the glory to God, because it's absolutely amazing the paradigms of your mind and your environment and how it affects you. So it's definitely a privilege to stand before you today, and an honor to just share with you a small portion of my testimony. I want to start off by thanking Pat Trainer, who's not here. I was really looking forward to seeing him, for nominating me for talking tonight and being such a positive force in my life. He was actually one of the first men to ever sit down with me and talk to me about forgiveness. And it was an amazing thing that transformed my life. I also want to recognize Jennifer Handel, who's here tonight. She was my adult mentor. And Jennifer, thank you for allowing me to be part of your life and your family. So, and then also Tina Galvin, who, she's passed away now, but she was my Life Direction leader, and she ignited a passion for life inside of me. She had a boldness that just could not be ignored. So it's people like this and so many others that become living and active models of compassion for others. I commend their courage to stand in the gap and in the trenches and inspire the less fortunate. They give their personal time, their talents, their skills, their resources, their prayers, their experiences, their trials, but most importantly, they share their victories for the good for others. They strengthen and produce visible fruit that grow to new heights and extend our branches out. They are part of the roots. So like I was saying, so it's reflection, and so it's been almost 20 years since my involvement with Life Directions, and Life Directions really began to help me center my spiritual walk. And it was in gaining the knowledge and responsibility of personal choices that came empowerment, and also forgiveness that I just briefly touched on, because with the power of forgiveness came freedom and peace, and I really wish that Pat was here so that I could tell him thank you. One of the most humbling experiences and realizations about forgiveness is that in most cases, you can expect nothing to change except yourself. We never have to accept being a victim of our circumstances, our trials, or chained to our past hurts and failures. And it was, I had the opportunity to be involved in the generational discussions and the circles and whatnot, and it was actually destiny, because I met my husband. So thank you, Life Directions. My in-laws were part of that circle of parents that were involved, and he was also being affected by the neighborhood, and he wasn't attending, but I was able to use those skills and those tools to help him. And so here we are. We've been together for 19 years and been married for 12 years this year. And I've worked in Southwest Detroit for about 10 years for a nonprofit advocating for at-risk youth. And about 7 years ago, I made a decision together collectively to stay at home. And so I have 3 beautiful sons, Xavier who's 7, Joel who's 5, and Israel who's not here tonight, and he is 2. And I have to say that it is the most rewarding and influential work that I know without a doubt that I will do for the rest of my life. They are my greatest treasures and my assets. And I'm also very involved at my home church, Detroit World Outreach. They're an extension of my family, and truly my joy and my strength comes from the Lord and Him being in control of my life. And I just try to live every day as an example of grace and peace and mercy that He has shown me. So my husband just recently returned from deployment. He was deployed for 7 months to Afghanistan, and the experience reminded me that freedom comes with the cost of someone else's sacrifice. And it also left me with a very profound respect for single mothers, which I was raised by a single mom. Thank you, Mom. And a heart for the fatherless, because it's truly a necessary thing. So Louis actually had the opportunity to work on one of the largest construction projects in Vietnam that will help save the lives of other American soldiers. And right now, I'm committed to helping and working with my husband grow his construction company. And I know that with his skill to build and my passion for restoration, I know together we'll impact our city in the future. So I just want to say hats off to the next generation. And this generation, I truly believe that some of the world's greatest leaders will be our young people that will come out of the most desolate, violent places. These youth are waiting to be connected to life. And our youth are our assets, and they hold the keys to and for our future. And my deepest hope is that we all become moved with an outpouring of compassion, encourage, and a spirit of inspiration to build destiny relationships. Because we're one body, and it takes many parts. So with that said, it's through the power of sharing the word of our personal testimonies and our victories that we can all overcome and continue to make a difference one person at a time. And I know the Western International High School students going to be giving a presentation, and from me to you, I just want to wish you much success and prosperity in your future. And also acknowledge my mom and my family that's here to support me, and my sons. I love you. You're my true treasures in life. Thank you.
Well, now you've seen the impact that Life Directions can have on one generation, and thank you, Tanya, for doing that. Right now, we want to turn to the next generation. So what we have next is to have Maritza Martinez, who is going to come forward. She is in the Life Directions Peer Motivation Program at Western International High School. Maritza.
Welcome, honored guests. My name is Maritza Martinez, and I am a student at Western International High School. I am in the 10th grade, and I am involved in the program of Life Directions at our school. I have enjoyed being involved in this program. I have learned much from my experience here at Life Directions. As a student, I have improved while being in this program. I have become more determined and focused on my goals. I have a greater sense of confidence now, and I'm certain that I can do anything that I set my mind to. During the first meeting that I attended, Sister Rosalie, who was part of Life Directions, gave us an assignment of stating how we saw ourselves in 20 years. In 20 years, I see myself as a successful accountant or financial manager for a corporation while studying pharmaceuticals. Based on this, she showed me what I needed to do and what I need to do now to get where I wanted to be, and how I should continue to do. Now, I am monitoring my actions a little bit closer and making sure what needs to be done, what needs to be accomplished gets done. I have also seen a difference not only in myself, but in other students who have attended this program as well. One student I noticed a difference in was very shy at first. And the more that she attended, the more I saw her participate and open up with the group. It allowed her to express herself in a better way. Another student who is a senior saw how some of the lower classmen were taking our time that we had in school for granted and explained to us what was needed to take advantage of the opportunities at hand and to put forth our best effort in everything that we did, because before we knew it, it will be too late. Since I've been in Life Directions, I've met many interesting and amazing people. A few months ago, a group of students and I attended a board meeting and met the board members of Life Directions. I met people who have been a part of it for many years. It amazed me at the devotion of people towards Life Directions. They were so welcoming and had curiosity about what we want and about why they wanted to know so much about us and the effect of Life Directions have had on our lives. I stand here tonight looking at a crowd of faces with the same look of curiosity and the same amount of dedication and devotion as they had. I thank you all for being here tonight and supporting every student who has been involved in Life Directions, including myself and my fellow classmates, and the community it has improved. Thank you very much.
Did you see when she was walking away, she went, but thanks to both of you, we do understand how hard it is to speak before a large group. I've been doing it all my life and never done it as well as you and Tanya have done it. So thanks for sharing your personal thoughts, your goals, your failures, your triumphs. We truly appreciate that you've come here today to share your stories and what Life Directions has done for you. Now we turn to another part of the program, a very important part of the program, the awards portion. And for this portion, it's my clear honor and pleasure to introduce one of the founders of Life Directions, Judith McDonald.
Good evening. Today is my birthday, and I can't think of a... Well, anyways, thank you. I can't think of a better place I'd rather be here tonight than to be here to present Paul Hathaway with the Life Directions Founders Lifetime Achievement Award. The Founders Award is given yearly to those who have given outstanding service to Life Directions. Paul Hathaway invested his time and energy in the formative years of our board building, our work in the schools, and bringing our work to other cities, and making sure that we were clear on our mission and vision. All through from 1990 through the mid-2000s. During this time, he won the respect and admiration of his peers for his perseverance and dedication to the vision and mission of Life Directions. Frank Jackson, one of our most active and loyal board members, nominated Paul for this award, recalling his great service. The inscription on this award sums up why Paul is so deserving to be recognized today. Paul Hathaway, advocate for the less fortunate, passionate benefactor of Life Direction. It is with deep affection and humble thanksgiving that we remember and honor you today. For over a decade, you walked with us, making known your profound reverence for the love of God, calling each of us to share our gift with others in the knowledge that, as often as you did it for one of my least, you did it for me. You served faithfully and with distinction on the Life Directions Board of Directors as a voice of compassion and urgency for our mission. Your legacy is having helped many of our youth to discover the wonders and goodness in themselves, to confront the power of evil and violence in our society, and to transcend self-interest by serving others. In testimony of the high regard in which you are held by Life Directions and grateful for your example, inspiration, and faithfulness, we give witness to our esteem and affection for you as we salute you and confer this Founders Award recognition for 2011. And then Father John and Sister Rosalie, would you also come up here, Paul? We'd also like to add that we would like to give thanks and appreciation to his wife Debbie and his 4 sons, Paul, Chris, Mike, and Colin, who had to make many sacrifices in order that Paul could do such great work for other young people.
That's got some heft. Thank you so much for that wonderful recognition. Certainly appreciate having the opportunity to be here and receive this award. Certainly, when I got the call from Frank Jackson, my old friend over there, longtime friend, he asked me to accept the award. I told Frank, I said, geez, you know, of all the people that have worked with Life Directions over the last 37 years or so, you can't find somebody more deserving than me. But you know, Frank, anybody that knows Frank is, he's very, very persuasive man. So after a couple of phone calls, I finally gave in and said, okay, I'll do it. But thanks very much, Frank, for remembering me. I appreciate that. I was trying to recall in preparation for tonight how I got involved with Life Directions. The best I can recall is that in 1984, I went to a dinner at my parents' house, not knowing that Father John was going to be there. I figured a free meal is a pretty good deal. So I think that's where I first met you, sometime in about 1984. But since then, it's been a wonderful journey. I met so many wonderful people working with Life Directions, and anybody who's ever helped as a volunteer with Life Directions certainly knows that you get much more back than you give. And it truly is, as I inspire others, I myself will be excellent. And that's a model of Life Directions, and something that I've certainly learned in my my years volunteering. But also true is the fact that anyone who's ever worked with Life Directions knows that it's a tough sell. You know, Life Directions is a tough sell. Society much more easily supports organizations that demonstrate instant results. And as you know, Life Directions is for the next generation. It's not for our generation. So, over the years, given this instant messaging, you know, that we are involved in now, instant communications, having to wait for another generation before you see the results just doesn't make it in today's society. So it's a tough sell. But still, you know, we had some bumps and challenges along the road. But the words of my grandmother would always come back to me, and she'd say, Paul, she says, your reward's going to be in heaven. And then my mom, she kind of picked up on that. And she said, but she, you know, fine-tuned it a little more. And she said, well, you know, Paul, the work is the reward. Ooh, that's even worse. You know? And as I'm saying that, I look at my son over there, Michael, and he's saying, I hate to hear that too. But you know, that's really what Life Directions is all about, isn't it? It's about fostering that positive legacy from generation to generation. And to quote another motto for the Life Directions, learn from yesterday, listen to today, and speak for tomorrow. Well, while I'm mentioning Mike over there, let me introduce the family that's here tonight. I have to give Art, my brother Art, the award for driving, I think, the furthest. He's from Annapolis, Maryland. He came over to support Life Directions tonight. So, Art, that's my niece Heather, Art's daughter. She's from Chicago. She came all the way. There's my little baby brother Frank. My niece, there she is, Victoria, Vicky T, as I call her. I can stand up and say hello. And that's his good friend. That's his good friend Sarah Fawcett. And then there's my lovely Debbie. who certainly without her willingness to share my time, I would not be standing here tonight. So I got a great group. I really appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Our young people, they've had a lot of voices that pull at them. They hear a lot of voices out there, especially today. It's more than just the street. It's the internet, I think, that's pulling these kids away. So it's a different game than it was when I first got involved in Life Directions. Certainly a big change. But it's heartening to know that Life Directions is still out there, walking the walk and talking the talk, as they say. Life Directions is definitely the voice that these young people need to hear. And just like to close my remarks by paraphrasing from a modern day poet, Bono, who I think most of you probably know is the lead singer with the band U2. Mike shaking his head. That's the Irish band, Mike. You know, Father John, I appreciate it. But I'd like to quote from one of his songs. It's called One, and it speaks to what I think Life Directions is all about. And I think it speaks to me what Life Directions is all about. We have one life with each other, sisters, brothers, one life, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other. Thank you all so very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul, for all your support of Life Direction over all those years. Next, I'd like to bring up Frank Jackson, who's the chairperson of tonight's event. He is a Life Direction's Detroit Board of Trustee member, and tonight he's going to present the Guiding Light Award. This award is given to an individual who has volunteered his time to helping young people in the Detroit area. Right?
Good evening. I have the honor and great privilege of introducing to some and presenting to others a person that I have admired for a long time. His professionalism, his integrity, his ability to focus, and his ability to lead and inspire. His name is Gregory Anderson, Vice President of Corporate and Financial Investigations for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan, the finest organization which is like in the country. Greg was chosen to receive the 2011 Guiding Light Award. Most people at Blue Cross know him as the no-nonsense investigator who seeks to keep everyone at Blue Cross in line, on the straight and narrow, in thought, word, and deed. Most of you know him as a person who leads a group of people who relentlessly seek and bring to justice those companies and individuals who would defraud, steal from the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan, and ultimately the people of the state of Michigan. Some of you may know him as a state trooper. He risks his life time after time on behalf of the state of Michigan and its people for more than 20 years by going undercover to bring to justice drug dealers, murderers, and others who would destroy our most precious possession, our children. When I remember my days of working with Greg, I think of him as a police officer giving a 17-year-old a break by giving him a lecture instead of a 4-year prison term possession of a small amount of weed. When I remember my days with Greg Anderson, I think of him in Thanksgiving Day parade marching down Woodward on behalf of him. I see him coaching travel baseball, Pee-wee football, and hockey. I think of him teaching kids, not only about sports, but how to live life in general. When I remember my days with Greg, I see him as an active member of the Rainbow Connection, giving children who don't have long to live one last wish, one shining moment to remember. When I think of Greg, I think of a person who has passion for young people and who gives much of his time, his talent, and his treasure, and has a deep sense of compassion for our young people. When I remember my days with Greg, when I worked here, I think of a person who is the embodiment of shining, guiding light award. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mr. Gregory Anderson.
Well, I'm not sure how to follow that. I don't know that guy, but it's great. Not much that I can say. I do have some comments that I do want to make. I know I'm probably close to standing between you and the Red Wings, so I won't be up here too long. We want to give everybody that chance. And I want to extend my own personal congratulations to Paul. That's a tremendous honor and a lifetime of achievement in working with kids to make that difference. I would like to thank Life Directions for this wonderful honor. And I would like to especially thank Frank Jackson for our many years of friendship. What he said about me, I feel just like that about Frank. Frank has always been for right. He's always stood up on whatever it took to do. And I just have to say that about Frank. He's a great man. And those of you in Life Directions know where he is and where he comes from. He's tremendous. I am pleased to have with me tonight my wife, Shannon. Anthony, who drove up from Florida. His wife, Debbie. My two sons, Andrew and Ryan. I also have some members of my staff, Doug, Diane, and Anna, that are here that I appreciate very much. My dad is a retired captain from the Michigan State Police and one of my main inspirations in life. Give me a moment. It is through my dad and mom that I learned my compassion for life. I can't tell you how humbled I am by this award. Can't feel my voice. Working with our youth and seeing their success has always been my reward. And now to be recognized for something that I believe so strongly in is beyond anything that I could have asked for. The mission of Life Directions is critical to making many of our youth contributing members of society. These youth are our future and need our friendship and our guidance. Everyone involved with Life Directions should be sharing in this honor with me tonight. You all deserve a huge round of applause and support for everyone. I was a young, single state trooper, and I had caught two young boys in a building. I was talking with their mothers, and I was upset by their lack of concern for their boys. And it was then that I decided that if I ever had kids, they might go bad, but it wouldn't be because I was not involved in their life. The rest is pretty much history for me. I try to give back in many ways, but I've always felt that athletics were a microcosm of life and a key to being able to reach out to our youth. It prepares them for the many challenges they will face in life. How many times have you heard the statement that life is not always fair? Well, things happen in athletics that are not always fair. And to succeed, you have to overcome those obstacles in the game, the same as the obstacles you face in your everyday life. Athletics teach discipline, teamwork, sacrifice, and you don't always win. The coaching and mentoring that I received as a young boy helped to set my goals and work ethics in life. I have truly been fortunate to be able to pass this along to hundreds of young men over the years. Can you imagine the feeling that you get when one of these young men that you coached or mentored comes up to you and says, "Hey coach, do you know what I'm doing now?" These are truly the special moments that continue to provide me the strong desire to reach out to our youth. I'd like to thank you all very much for this honor tonight. Over to you.
Thank you, Gregory, for supporting the young people in our community. It's now we're getting down to the end of the program, and it's now my honor and pleasure to introduce another co-founder of Life Directions, Father John Phelps.
It's a moment of grace. I'd like you to open up the program to the middle of the program. You'll see the names across it. You see the Board of Trustees that are listed there. It's kind of in the center of the program. You see the Board of Advisors. With the Board of Trustees and Board of Advisors who are able to be here, would you please stand? Let's thank them for what they're doing. The staff that's here, and you'll see them, but there's one staff person who has pulled unbelievable work, and it's Bonnie Ruminek. She's the one who organized everything. Please stand, Bonnie. Now I draw your attention, the rest of the staff, with the rest of the class, staff, please stand up. I'll get fired otherwise, okay? Come on, Tom, stand up. All right, thank you. God bless you. As I go to the other side, look at the names at the top. Go to the top right name. Do you realize the legacy that Judge James Hathaway gave? He's the first name. When you're believed in before nobody knows you are, that's Life Directions. He taught me to go the extra mile. He was the family that I needed in the beginning. And what I want to thank Tanya and Luis, I'd like you to come up here. If you can carry your children with you, that'd be great. I want you to stand next to me. Take your name tag off, by the way. Let's get those name tags off. They look funny in pictures. Come on now. Now the little guys have to stand in front of this. No, right in front of you. That's great. Now Tanya was born when Judge Hathaway met me. Back in the 70s. She was 16 in 1992, what you saw. At that time, her life was headed in a completely different direction. Now she's 35, sorry to tell you. And her husband, that may never have been in her life. Life Directions is from 13 to 35. That's why. It took a judge to believe enough to make it possible. And of course, his wife died. I'm going to ask Larissa to come forward. Take your name tag off. And I want you to just stand next to Louise, right? She now can look ahead, because she said at 35, remember? This will be your age. Back to the Future. Jimi Hendrix, some of you may know Jimi Hendrix. He did well, since you're quoting rock stars, I have to tip off. Jimi Hendrix had a time to say that, you know, when you are no longer so committed to the love of power, and you learn how to understand the power to love. That's why they're here. Would the teenagers please stand? And come on up here. If you're under 20. Come on now, you give them a hand, they're all nervous, they won't get up here. Come on now. And I want would you come over here, the artist? I want you to know you may not have seen it. She's always very silent, but this is the silent auction item out there. And if you want to, she drew it. And her teacher is over there, Mrs. Singh, and she drew that, and she was willing to let us auction it off. So if you haven't had a chance to take a tantrum on it, you can do so, but know that she did a great gift, don't you think? When you see the cards out there, you see these kind of cards. What these cards are is right here. So would you like to see young people make it? Do you know, by the way, that if Tanya and Luis started college, if they made it, if they made it, they would have been 10% of those who started. 90% don't make it. That's the ones who start. Do you know the problem? Here's the solution. I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank you for believing in this. This is a legacy of love. And it's the power to love that makes it possible to break the cycle of violence for the ones who are taught to love power. So I want to thank everybody. And remember the word compassion. It's a thread, was it not? And it touched through every one of the stories, even to yours, Greg. And I want to ask Greg and Paul to come forward, because you didn't have a chance to thank them. Take your name tag. I thought you were old enough to know that. Would you just want to give them all a hug? You got to give them a hug or they don't even know you're loved, okay? Go ahead. There you go. You can stand behind them. You're a little taller than they are. Now we want to thank the young people, the young adults, and the elders. But I definitely want to thank the parents who are present for Greg, for showing us our roots. It's our privilege to touch your life. I want to thank your mother for being with us tonight. This is the privilege of who we are. Remember us, because see, these names you never knew before, the children, but you may have heard of Kevin Garnett. He could have stood here. You may have heard of Hanson Clark. He could have stood here. See, that's the difference. You hear those names. These are the nameless. I think they're precious. Thank you all.
Thank you, Father John. It's a meeting of Western International High School up here. Great stuff. So thank you, Father John. Now I'd like to conclude the evening by thanking the sponsors, especially our gold sponsors. Pay attention to these names. These are the people who give their time and their treasury to the organization to keep it going. DNR Excavating, Dixon Enterprises, L Mechanical, Jerome Plumbing and Heating, O'Brien Construction Company, Plunkett and Cooney, Rockwall, S&M Heating Sales Company, and Superior Excavating. We appreciate these people. They're the financial engine that keeps this going, and we appreciate their help very much. And there's a complete list in the program of other sponsors. So on behalf of the young people here in Detroit, the volunteers, the staff, the Board of Trustees of Life Directions Detroit. I want to thank each and every one of you for your presence here tonight and for your support of Life Directions. Now, the next thing we hope to see you at is the golf outing in September. Golf outing in September the 26th, that's what I hear. So enjoy the rest of the evening and please drive safely on your way home. Thank you very much.